Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Today we have with us Vivyana, the dragon mystic, and the artist formerly known as Tina Dubois. She teaches people how to connect with their own dragon as well as doing dragon guidance readings. Welcome to the show, Vivyana. And you'll have to explain to the audience why I introduced you that way.
Thank you, Jill. Yeah, no problem. Well, Jill and I have known each other for a little while, and the changing my name to Vivyana is a really relatively new thing. Like the day this is being recorded, it's been about 1 month. It's been 1 month since I started this whole dragon mystic adventure, and I really felt the need to change my name from Tina Dubois, which is my given name, because I feel this deep passion to share my dragon channeling. But every time I thought about sharing my dragon channeling as Tina Dubois, I had this like soul deep dissonance. This is not right. And for a while, I thought that maybe I wasn't supposed to share my dragon channeling. And I eventually learned that no, I really am. I am meant to share the wisdom and the messages that the dragons that I connect with have asked me to share, but I couldn't do it under Tina. So I actually needed to find a name that was more resonant with the core of who I am, with the mysticness of myself. And so I retook the name Vivyana. It's not the first time I've been Vivyana, and because the name came from the very first past life that I ever channeled for myself. It was my first incarnation on Earth in Lemuria, and so Vivyana is the English version of my Lemurian name. Kind of long-winded explanation, but there you have it.
So cool. I had no idea. That's really fun.
Yeah, I remember when I had my intuitive awakening in 2010, which was not a fun ride. It was very difficult for the first year, waking up an intuitive empath after, spending 11 years in university, getting 2 science degrees. Like, suddenly waking up an intuitive empath, being able to feel other people's emotions and feel other people's pain. And it was a rough ride for the first year. But, after a while, I realized, there are some really cool things about being intuitive and all of the gifts that woke up that day. And one of them was the realization that past lives are actually a thing and that you can remember your own past lives. And so in about 2011, I was thinking, I want to do this. I really want to be able to remember my past lives because that is the coolest stuff. It took another 6 years. It wasn't until 2017 that I was able to do that. But then like the door opened, right? And so now I remember quite a few of my past lives on Earth, before Earth, all of that, really cool intuitive stuff. And yeah, so I decided that my mystic /dragon/pen name, depending on who I am talking to, was going to be the very first name that I remembered as a past life.
It's a wonderful story, and it kind of it speaks to what you're really doing here, and that's you were doing something else in the business world under Tina Dubois, which it was a good thing, but its time had come to move on, and now you've embraced. You need to tell the story about how you came to channel dragons, because I think that's amazing too, and then we'll tie them both together. So tell us
Okay.
the story.
So the story behind channeling dragons for the first time was it started in August of 2023. And about the beginning of the month, everything dragons started showing up in my life. They were showing up all over my Facebook feed. And at the time, I was not in any dragon groups. I don't know how it happened, but my Facebook feed started like just being flooded with dragon pictures. People were sending me emails about dragons. I was seeing dragons on TV in real life. Like there were dragon signs and symbols everywhere in my life. And about the third week of August, I was scrolling through Facebook at night again. And I have a bit of insomnia, so it was like really late at night. And another dragon showed up on my Facebook feed. And after 3 weeks of seeing all these dragon signs, my intuition finally clicked. And I asked myself, I wonder if I have a dragon spirit guide that's trying to connect with me. And nothing miraculous happened. Like it, and I had this big expectation that something monumental was going to happen. Nothing happened, except I did have a really powerful intuitive nudge to pick up one of my crystals. So I'm also a crystal healer. My bedroom is full of crystals. My headboard is full of crystals. And one of them was calling me to pick it up. And this particular stone is called Preseli Bluestone. And it's also known as Stonehenge stone because it is the stone that the inner ring of Stonehenge is made out of. It's a quarry from 200 kilometers away from Stonehenge. And the mystery is, how did those stones get there? You know, so many years ago when Stonehenge was being built. So anyway, I picked up this really small, it's about this like an inch, not even an inch tall. I pick it up in my left hand. And as soon as I did, I felt this really powerful energy come out of the crystal into my hand, up my arm, into my heart, and then like spread over my entire body. And I knew that this energy was feminine. And because intuitive empathness, and I've been practicing my intuitive listening for the last 14 years, I asked this energy, I basically said, hello, who are you? And this energy replied and said, I'm the dragon crystal guardian of Preseli Bluestone. And I was like, okay. Like, I'm not unfamiliar with having spirit guides. I have 3 angels of my own. I have many animal spirit guides. I have past loved ones who help guide me, but dragons were totally new. And her energy is really powerful. And so we started having this conversation. And one of the first things she told me was about dragon crystal guardians. And she said that many dragons guard Gaia's crystals. Gaia is like the planet. But not all dragons have crystals, and not all crystals have dragons. And my response was, that's kind of hard to believe. and she, my dragon, she replies, it matters not what you believe. But I think that because I applied my own discernment to something that this new spirit guide was telling me, she respected that. And so she decided to become my dragon spirit guide, and she rests within me, like curled up on top of my heart or heart chakra. And she is always with me. She is a consciousness that is always with me. And sometimes, you know, she pipes up when there's something interesting to note or to say. And after that, we figured out a name for her because she did not have a name. Not all dragons have names. Some do, some don't. But as a human being who likes to categorize everything, I needed to give her a name, and we settled on the name Ashara, which she actually likes. And after Ashara connected with me, I started connecting with more dragons and more and more and more and more. And so mostly they are dragon crystal guardians. I've so far channeled about 80 dragon crystal guardians and about 15-ish other types of dragons. And my dragon spirit guide family has grown from 1 to currently 5. And it's all very interesting. Sometimes it can get a little crowded in my brain, but it's all good, and it is extremely, extremely empowering to know that I have dragons with me all of the time, and that I can depend on them for support and for guidance and for wisdom whenever I need. And it's been a really wonderful event that happened in my life that started one sleepless summer night in August 2023.
I love that. And so as you took your first name, or your first incarnate, the name of your first incarnation, to kind of marry along with the new direction, it's almost a rebirth that you're experiencing right now.
It is
in this,
exactly that.
the
Yes.
change in direction of what you're doing, which is like, I knew what you were doing before, but this is so different, and you look different. I recognize that when I saw you before, you were in business mom mode, but you are in mystic mode now. You're not even just like business mode. You just like, you're all glowy and stuff.
Aw, thank you.
I can see your aura, and it's pretty white, mostly white with a little bit of like bluish violet. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. But it's so exciting to see how all of this is like kind of moving along, and it's so new. It's like this new little baby.
And it's happening so fast. On March 1st. So basically I think it was February, I figured out through a releasing of limiting beliefs exercise that also involved dragons, by the way, that it was time and it would be okay to let go of metaphysical school. That was my business before Vivyana, the Dragon Mystic. I was the founder and CEO of this really big school of 40 faculty members of passionately enlightening teachers from around the world. And we had membership and 70 courses and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and like all of these things. It was incredibly overwhelming, which was the problem for me, and why I realized it was time to let it go. I had built it too big for one person to maintain and grow. And so I knew it was time to let it go. And in March 1st, let's back up just a little bit. Once I started channeling dragons, at about 30 dragons, I realized I need to write a book about these dragons. I need to share their wisdom and their messages. And I also need to create an oracle card deck. And so both of these things are in development. But so I had this intention, because manifestation is all about having an intention. And so I had this intention, I'm going to write a best-selling dragon book. And about 4 days later, I was participating in a panel presentation called Successfully Launch Your Best-Selling Book. Because I had this intention to write this best-selling book, and this presentation came into my field, and I was like, I need to do that. So I'm watching this presentation, and one of the presenters, a wonderful and inspiring woman named Melissa Keenan, who had just founded her own publishing company after being CEO at another publishing company, she mentioned very briefly that she was creating this multi-author book called Manifesting Magical Moments. And if you're interested in being an author, let her know. And talk about synchronicity. I was reading our mutual friend, Carmel Riley's Super Manifester book at the time. And I was like, there's just too much synchronicity here. So I looked into Melissa's profile and found out more about manifesting magical moments. And I'm going to be a published author. I have a chapter. I'm going to obviously share about dragon wisdom in my chapter, and it's going to be about the lessons I've learned about manifesting since dragons have come into my life. So that was March 1st. In the next 2 weeks, I bought a domain. I created domain-specific emails. I created a one-page website. I created Dragon Guidance Readings offer. Like, all of this happened in 2 weeks. In the time that it took me like 8 months to do the same thing for metaphysical school. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is going super, super fast. Because what I learned from creating metaphysical school was simplify, simplify, simplify. So I'm trying to remember in absolutely everything I do with my Dragon Mystic business is to bring in ease, to make everything as easy and joyful as possible, and just get rid of the overcomplication and just make things simple. So
I love that. It's just like my word for the year is peace. And I've reached the point where if I'm feeling anxious about it, then maybe it's just not meant to be. So I can let it go. And if you have the intention that this is what you want, it's just like manifesting is so amazing. I think just when it's supposed to happen, all the doors just open up and it's really easy. It doesn't take a lot of work, and you're like, I do it this way or do it that way. And it just like, it falls together, and the people that you're supposed to connect with, you connect with, and it just like, it rolls so smoothly.
I'm learning that every day, every day. I feel like my dragons really supercharged my manifestation skills, mostly because they brought me to Carmel. And the reason why I was really drawn to Carmel, and you, by the way, is because you're part of the Dragon Priestess Abundance Circle or Dragon Pack. And so that's why I was really drawn to you and Carmel and Carrie, because you're in this dragon circle. And yeah, from meeting Carmel, I learned so many manifestation lessons in her Super Manifestor book, which I highly recommend, by the way.
Yeah, I recommend it too. I read it, and it's an amazing book.
I read it
Carmel's just an
twice.
amazing human being.
She is. She is.
She really is. I just like, I love her to pieces. But back to you and what you're doing now. You're doing both coaching and
Dragon
there's
guidance
one.
readings.
Yes, thank you. I had to look over at my notes.
No, it's
I knew I had written it down. Dragon guidance readings. So how do those work?
They are an incredibly magical experience. I have given, well, obviously I just started doing this, right? So I've probably given away maybe 10, maybe a dozen readings. And I'm developing my own Dragon Crystal Guardian Oracle deck. And so I'm not an artist yet. Let's just put that in there, yet. But I do have all of the channeled information for the 64 cards. guardians that are going to be in the deck. And so I have this beautiful spreadsheet of all of this dragon information. And I actually intuitively downloaded a dragon spread, or a card layout that is in the shape of a dragon. And
Of course.
of course it is. And each card represents a different aspect of the intention for the reading. And how it works is the person that I am reading for picks a number between 1 and 64, because there's no shuffling, right? Like, I don't have a physical deck, but it's a really beautiful co-creation of a reading, because the person I'm reading for gets to choose the number for their dragon. So for each of the cards, they choose a number between 1 and 64. And some of the messages that have come out of those readings are just so spot on. Like, I've done readings before. I've attended conferences and conventions where I've done hundreds of readings in a weekend. So I'm not unfamiliar with readings, but these are bringing people to tears. And that is a new thing for me. Like, I used to do aura readings for people. And I don't remember a lot of tears, but these readings are like deeply touching to people. And I just feel so validated and so fulfilled by giving this dragon wisdom to people that's resonating with them. It's extremely magical.
It sounds amazing. Shall we do it?
Yeah, totally. I brought my Dragon Crystal Guardian Oracle deck spreadsheet with me. And so if you would like to pick a number between 1 and 64, first, let's pick
8.
an intention. Well, what's your intention for this reading, so that we have something to apply this message to?
My intention for this reading is around what I have coming up later this month in terms of my community and a challenge that I'm putting together.
Okay. The card number 8, or the 8th dragon, her name is Polly. And she is the Dragon Crystal Guardian of Peridot, which is the gem version of Olivine. And she is a light to mid olive green dragon. And she is a mid 30ish, so almost all the way mature dragon. There's quite a bit about information about relative age and whatnot that we're not going to go into, but she also lives in Hawaii. And so one of the really special things about Polly is she's not only a Dragon Crystal Guardian for Peridot, but she is also a Dragon Guardian for one of Gaia's heart chakras. So just like we have chakras, the planet has chakras, and the planet Gaia has multiple heart chakras, and one of them is in Hawaii. And Polly is also that guardian. And in terms of personality, Polly is the epitome of love, kindness, caring, and all things related to the heart chakra. Her dragon energy archetypes are heart and healing, and her message that she wants to share with the world is 2 sentences. And the first thing you're going to learn about dragons and their messages is that they're really short, very succinct, and usually incredibly powerful. And she was the first one to have 2 sentences. And her message is love each other, honor your heart. And so what I am intuitively receiving for this message for you is that whatever events that you are planning on, you need to honor your heart as you are doing them, as you're planning them, as you're doing them, and afterwards.
Very cool. I know you've told me this before.
You might have picked the same.
I did pick the same number.
Just so you know, 8 is the dragon's favorite number. I call it the dragon number.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also the number of abundance. It's the number of infinity.
Mm-hmm.
And so
it's my number of the year.
Yeah. And it's also the numerological number for 2024 too, right? But
right.
yeah.
I think you were the one that pointed out on my birthday. I'm 64. I turned 64 this year,
Yes.
which is 8 times 8.
Yes. Which is why there are 64 cards in the deck. Also, it's 8 squared or abundance squared. Yeah.
That's really interesting too. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. It means a lot to me.
You're welcome.
I'm not going to cry on it, but
Okay.
I might cry later.
Okay. I understand. It happens.
So, so you do this for other people, and I'm sure that you go in deeper with them in terms of what it could mean. And I gave you a very vague piece, but for me, the answer is very telling. It it was a message that I needed, and in what I'm planning on doing, it makes total sense to me. Though as listeners, you may be like, I don't know what she's talking about. She's rambling off.
You do, and that's all that matters.
My point being that I'm sure that as you're working with somebody else who gave you a more clear explanation of what their intention was, and if they brought to you an intention that was more well defined than the one that I gave you, then the message back is going to it it leaves room for exploration that I did not leave you room for.
For
Does that
sure.
make sense?
My last reading was
Mhm.
exactly that. It was amazing. This a beautiful colleague of mine, we did a reading, and I feel like I can share her attention was about also future programs that she's
Mhm.
planning on offering. And one of the messages that I shared with her from the reading resonated with her in terms of past experiences, like the way that I worded it.
Mhm.
And that is the beauty of being connected with your intuition and practicing building trust and confidence in it, which is something that basically I've been doing for the last 7 years, 8 years now, is teaching people intuitive development. And what people don't understand is that intuition is two things. It is your ability to receive energetic information, and it's your skill in interpreting those messages or interpreting that information into understandable messages. And so intuitive development is about expanding your energetic frequency range and about interpreting the energy that you receive so that it makes sense to you. Because what's the point of getting a message that you have no idea what it means? Like it's kind of pointless, right? So that is what I do. That's what I have been doing for 8 years. And basically I'm just transferring those skills over to dragon connection coaching. And connecting with your dragon spirit guide or connecting with any of your spirit guides is exactly the same thing. It's being open to the energetic information that your spirit guide is transmitting to you and sharing with you, and being able to interpret that information. So
I think that part of it has to do with remembering it too. Like I get a lot of downloads first thing in the morning when I wake up. And if I don't stop, I can lose it. But I get a lot of really amazing, they're just downloads. I'm waking up and Joan's dumping it in there.
I get it. I totally get it. It also, so I have a very scientific background, and so I like to explain all the things in like down to earth kind of
Mhm.
ways. And when we first wake up, this was also very much shared in Carmel's Super Manifestor book. When we first wake up, our brain waves are in theta,
Mhm.
and it's a really slow brain wave. And at that level of consciousness, that's when we are connected with source or connected with the universe. And so that's when all of that information, we're really open to it, we're really receptive to it.
Mhm.
And once our brain waves change and get a little faster and a little bit more, I don't know, active, chaotic, whatever word you want to use, that intuitive information, it kind of gets lost in the activity of our brainwaves. And so that's why I have a very trusty, actually, it's an electronic journal because I can't be bothered to handwrite in the morning. And you can, like, what I do is sometimes I take audio notes, or I type them out because I can. And so, yeah, I journal those intuitive downloads. That's kind of what my dragon channeling has been since August. Is I have my electronic journal right next to the bed, and I wake up in the middle of the night, and if some new dragon or a dragon that I've connected with before has something to share with me, I need to write it down. I call it dragoning. So
I love
like
that.
for short.
So fun.
So I wake up in the middle of the night dragoning, and I have to write all of it down. And so yeah, that's exactly what I do. And that's what I recommend to people, because then you get to look back at it and you receive all this validation from, oh my gosh, that happened. And I totally understand what that means now. And oh, that symbol, that's what that means when I see that from now on, right? Like those things are really great to put in a journal so that you can look back at them and see how far you've come.
Yeah. Over the years, it's amazing how, because life progresses incrementally and what seems like it's really slow, but it's really pretty fast if you look back. I mean, August wasn't that long ago. Yes, it was a year ago, but really in the span of the universe, it's nothing. And a lot's happened since then. A lot of changes have happened, slowly at first, and then faster and faster and faster. But a lot's happened. I mean, to channel, what, like over 60, close to 90?
I'm almost at 100. Yeah, I'm just shy of 100 at this point.
That's 100 encounters you've had with 100 different spirits.
Mm-hmm.
That takes time.
Yep. Yeah. I knew I had to make an oracle deck and write this book as soon as 30 dragons came in.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, it was the Dragon Crystal Guardian Collective as a whole had a message to share with humanity. And I would really like to share that. Where do I have it? I should really put it in my Dragon Crystal Guardian Oracle deck because it's my favorite message. Oh, here we go. I have it. Once this message came through, I knew that I needed to share all of my dragon channeling with the world in whatever way that was going to work for me. And the message that the Dragon Crystal Guardian shared was unity. Humanity is divided by region, thought, belief, inequality. You believe you are separate. You are not. You are all one. You are all spirit. And so that's my favorite message to share. And the one that really, yeah. It's the one that really sparked the need to shine brighter, to let go of being afraid of sharing. Hello, podcast world. That I really needed to share this message with as many people who were going to see it as possible.
It's an important message. It is the message for raising the global consciousness, that we are all one.
Yeah.
Even the things that you don't like, even the people that drive you crazy, you're still one with them. You are connected to them. Even the really evil people in the world, it's like, oh, I don't want to be connected to them. Well, I'm sorry, you're still connected to them.
We're all one consciousness. We are
all one conscious.
We are just smaller aspects of universal consciousness.
Yep. And we all contribute something to it. And
yep.
Each individual, it's important that you contribute what you were brought here to contribute. You wake up and you start paying attention in the mornings or in the middle of the night or whenever it is that the universe wants your attention.
Agreed.
And take up dragoning.
I'm gonna do it. It's super fun. it's
a new word
magical and inspiring, and you really never know what you're gonna get. Because everyone is different. Every dragon that I've channeled is completely unique individual.
I'm really excited for your deck to come out because I'd really like to see all the different dragons and their different messages. And I'm excited for your book to come out, and I can't wait for that. I can't wait for the chapter that you're doing in this book, because I think it's going to be fascinating to see who else is paired with you in the book. But I know that you've got your own book out there that will come.
Yes. At this point, it looks like this year, hopefully this year, is 4 book projects and 2 Oracle card decks. Yeah.
Well, you can't just do the Oracle deck without having a book that goes with that too. So
exactly. So they're companion pieces, right? You want to work with the dragon, my book working title, not it hasn't been finalized or anything, but my book is going to be called Dragon Wisdom, Empowering Channeled Messages from the Dragon Crystal Guardian Collective. And the companion piece is obviously going to be the Dragon Crystal Guardian Oracle deck.
Yeah, I love it. It's so fun to see these kinds of projects coming out. And yeah, and we talked about before about the art that you're doing, which is AI art, but there's a lot to AI art. It's not like you're just putting in something and taking whatever you get. You've put a lot of thought into this artwork, and it really is just a different way of creating. It's a different medium. It's like, watercolors or oil.
Exactly.
AI is its own medium, and there's different types of AI that you can work with, and they all are slightly different, and they give you different flavors of images that they bring up. So when you say you're learning to be an artist, I can totally see that.
There is a skill to coming up with a text prompt and actually achieving the vision that you had in your mind on the screen. Like,
it's
one of the not few easy
times that you really wish the computer was reading your mind, right?
Yes, exactly.
Just look at what I want you to do and put it up there for me.
I'm so fortunate and grateful that I get to work with one of the premier AI dragon artists in the world, Enchanted Ink AI Studio. I'm so grateful that we connected over dragons, the artist and myself. And by the way, I did not know this, but on her website, she calls herself the dragon. And so it is just yet more synchronicity that the artist that I'm working with to bring my dragons to life is named the dragon. She is definitely a dragon. And I am just so grateful to get to work with her to bring my dragons to life. And yeah, I can't wait for my deck to come out.
So exciting. So how do people get a hold of you, Vivyana, if they want to work with you or if they just want to learn more about what you're doing?
Well, seeing as all of this is about a little over a month old, people can connect with me through my brand new website at thedragonmystic.com. And from that website, there's a little introduction about me, but there's also booking links for my Dragon Connection coaching and my Dragon guidance readings. And there's also my free gift that I would love to offer to people. If you are wondering or at all curious and have the slightest inkling that you have a dragon spirit guide, that is your intuition telling you that you do, and that you are ready to take the next step and connecting with them. And so my free gift is a booklet, a PDF booklet that you can download by signing up for my newsletter. That is called The 5 Steps to Connect and Commune with Your Own Dragon Spirit Guide. And so that is what I would like to share with people also, that you can find at thedragonmystic.com.
I'll definitely have to check that out too.
Cool. Wonderful.
So what's the one thing that you hope the audience takes away from this conversation today?
That's probably the message that I've been sharing for the last 8 years. And that is the importance of developing trust and confidence in your intuition. The wonderful thing, the beautiful thing about trusting your intuition is the increased connection you have with everything. That connection with the core of who you are, your higher self, a deeper connection with all of the people and all of the relationships you have in your life, a deeper connection with Gaia, with our planet, with all of your spirit team, dragons included, and an increased connection with Source, God, the universe, whichever way, whatever word that you use to describe that. That is what building trust and confidence into your intuition gives you.
So amazing. And there's just nothing like it.
There isn't. And that is like, intuition is a truly magical part of being human.
And
so
once you recognize it, it's like there's no going back. It's just like, oh, I've crossed over to this is what they're talking about.
Exactly. That's what intuitive awakening is. Like, it's just the next level. And there are so many different types of intuitive awakenings and different levels. And yeah, it's what I've been teaching for the last 7 years. And I'm continuing to teach it, just a little bit more specialized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the dragons.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Jill. It was such a pleasure. Always lovely to connect with you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order, or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.